Hi, my name is Gabriela Morales. I am doing this for Management 4620, Fall 2016. My presentation will be on a historic labor strike that took place in Chicago and is known as the Haymarket Riot. As you can see on this slide, this is just a small cropped out picture of the flyer that was passed out on May 4th, but I will not give many details about it. We will find out why they started this riot, or how it became a riot, and what working people wanted out of it. May 1st has been known as a traditional day to honor workers throughout different countries, including the United States. How all this began was when workers were demanding an 8-hour working day because those who worked in factories, different companies, were working 10 to 16 hours per day, 6 days a week. This includes children, women, any age, really. On October of 1884, the labor union considers granting an 8-hour day for workers, and it sets the day to May 1st in order to standardize the 8-hour workday. May 1st finally comes along. We see here a proud worker on May 1st. And on this day, across the United States, you have all kinds of strikers and rallies being held, but the main place was Chicago. It is said that more than 300,000 up to 500,000 strikers were fighting for this cause. And unfortunately, the 8-hour workday was not standardized on that day. And people were not very happy with this. And you have anything from activists to socialists who were fighting for the same cause, and they were just demanding an 8-hour workday with no pay cuts. And this leads up to more rioting, more strikes. On May 2nd, it was a day of preparation for those speakers who were going to gather those thousands of people. You see the small character to the bottom right of your screen. Here, just thinking a bit, you have speakers that they wanted to go on strike. On May 3rd, outside of what is called a harvesting machine company, those who were pro-union gathered outside in a form of a strike. Approximately, there were 12,000 strikers there that day. Most of those workers that were outside, they were not allowed to work since February of 1886 because of their known to be pro-union and them wanting their 8-hour workday. Those who were inside, though, they were immigrants. They were immigrant workers who were protected by 400 police officers because they were trying to keep them from going pro-union. This is a little bit of what they wanted. They wanted that 8 hours for work, or they wanted 8 hours for rest, or to do whatever it is that they please, to be with them. One activist on this day was August Spice, who would control the movement on that day. It was a peaceful gathering for the most part, where people were being told where they would meet the following day, where the real strike would happen, and more details would be given about how to go about the 8-hour workday and convince the labor union to accept it. Although everything was working well, officers did not want protesters to be outside and having those gatherings. So they began to shoot, and 2 people were killed. So, as you can see here on this picture, this is a summary, really, of what the people wanted. They wanted to work for 8 days. They wanted to go home and rest. And they wanted a day for themselves where they can enjoy it with their families and not have to worry about going into work for 16 hours and really not gaining anything, and not even having overtime, and not even a time to rest. It was just thinking about work, 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 and that's not what these people really wanted. The Day of Truth. May 4th. Finally comes along after the incident where 2 men have died. It began as a peaceful rally. You have, again, August Spice being one of your speakers. There was like 3 other men there also speaking. Only 3,000 people gathered them. It wasn't the big of magnitude as May 1st or May 3rd. All because of the weather conditions. That's what was found on the history websites. As I said, it was peaceful. Unfortunately, there was what they found later on to be a house bomb. It was made at someone's home, and it was thrown at the officers. It killed 4 officers instantly, and that's what set out people from running away, trying to save their lives. But policemen shot at them, and in that chaos, more men died, more officers died, because again, it was nighttime, so it was dark, and you don't really know who you're shooting at or who you're fighting against. During 1986, medicine was not so great. Advances were not there yet, so many more civilians died, more officers died at the hospital from their wounds. On my slide you see here 70 people were injured. Again, 4 officers died. About 50 civilians died that night. It has been said that historically it has been one of the largest, as the cause has been one of the largest that they have been fighting for. People specifically around that time were fighting for. And you didn't see that often. So it was very impressive to see so many people die for what they believed in. And it only takes one person to destroy the peace. Unfortunately, the activists who were the ones talking and making all these movements were the ones who were punished the most, and the most harsh punishments. Most of them received life sentencing. They never really found out who, through the first bomb, who was the real person who started the chaos. But since the policemen knew who were the men who spoke, they were the ones who were sent to jail. Some of the men couldn't really resist being in jail, so they committed suicide before they were completely sentenced. It took a year to sentence them. It wasn't until 1887 that they were formally arrested and sentenced. The policemen did find one man who, in this picture you see, that's the bomb that killed the 4 officers. That man that was found, he was found inside his home with what you can call an arsenal of weapons and bombs that he had made. So he was also accused because that was the only person the officers found, and they were the only ones that were guilty. to him, or I'm sorry, to them. The police officers thought it was them. It was that person. The man was hanged, the one that was accused of having the bomb, not necessarily throwing the bomb, but I mean, if he created them, they thought, well, it's obvious he threw it. So, 4 of the activists, including August Spies, on November 1887, were hanged. But right before they were hanged, they shouted out their beliefs and what they wanted. That even if they were going to be hanged, they were not going to be silenced. This was only going to help them later to see the injustice and what they really wanted out of this 8-hour workday. They still believed, even right before they were hanged. They were very passionate about what they wanted. The 8-hour workday, unfortunately, was set back, and the consideration from the labor union was lost because of this unfortunate event. Since many civilians and policemen died throughout May 1st and May 4th, it was an excuse for the labor union to not accept the 8-hour workday, and people continued until 52 years later to work those 10 to 16-hour shifts. And children labor also was affected. That wasn't stopped. Like I said, it took 52 years for this to happen. It wasn't until 1938 that finally the 8-hour labor act was passed. As a special and historical event, in 2014, there were rumors that a movie will be made based on the events that were mentioned here, but nothing official since 2014 has been said. There has been statues over the years that have been rebuilt, remade because of vandalism. They've been destroyed by the people, but at the same time, it has been standing. Here on the side, we have a picture of what Chicago's landmark has now. Since 1992, it has become a theme of Haymarket, where it's an official landmark and it's a bit of a touristic place. As I found, not many people talk about the Haymarket riot. It is not as important to many people to teach about it. But I found it important because it was a way to start a fight that, even if it took half a century to accomplish, it shows the dedication of its people to create a better future for those working now. And as a person that works, I appreciate it. I know that once I hit my 8 hours, I will get overtime, so that helps. And I work, it's something similar to a fast food restaurant, so we have to work only 6 hours. Only 6 days a week, not 7. We have to have 1 day off. So, history like this helps, and it helps you see that people were fighting their way, maybe not the proper way. Maybe if there wouldn't have been a bomb at that scene, there wouldn't have been an excuse to set it back 52 years. But, it took its time, but it finally worked out. And now it's remembered as the Haymarket riot. And thank you for watching, and this was the end of my presentation. Thank you.